Eleanor, a 62-year-old widow, sits at her kitchen table in a small Vermont town. It's a cold December evening, and the warm glow of the kitchen lights contrasts sharply with the chill in the air. Her son, Michael, and his wife, Alexis, are planning their annual family vacation to the Maldives, something they've been talking about for months. As Eleanor scrolls through her phone, she sees the message from Alexis. It's polite, but the words hit her like a slap in the face. "Hey, Mom, I'm really sorry, but there's just not enough space for you on the trip. The resort is better suited for younger people anyway, lots of adventure activities. You'd probably prefer staying home this year, huh?" Eleanor feels her heart sink. She had hoped to join her family on this special trip, to reconnect with her son and the grandkids. She'd been excluded from too many family events already, but this one, this beautiful vacation, was a final blow. For years, Alexis had subtly marginalized her, forgetting her birthday, scheduling family events when Eleanor was busy, and now this. With a forced smile, Eleanor replies, "Of course, dear, I understand." But inside, a storm brews. She remembers the photo Alexis posted just last week, her son, Michael, laughing with their two grandchildren, Tyler and Lily, while on a yacht. The caption, "The perfect family vacation," mocks Eleanor's absence, each word a reminder that she's never truly part of this picture. As she stares at the screen, Eleanor doesn't feel old. She doesn't feel out of place, but she does feel something stir within her, a quiet resolve. For the first time in years, she realizes she's done playing the part of the invisible, accommodating mother-in-law. If they think they can push her aside, they have another thing coming. She sets the phone down carefully, stands up, and walks over to her late husband's study, where Alexis has never stepped foot. Eleanor's mind shifts into focus as the plan starts to take shape. It's time to make her move. The next morning, Eleanor wakes up with a new clarity. The phone call, the exclusion, the quiet humiliation, it all comes together, and she feels a calm sense of purpose that she hasn't felt in years. She no longer feels like the background character in her own life. It's as if the sting of betrayal has sparked something inside her, something that had lain dormant for far too long. After a quiet breakfast, Eleanor heads to the room where she keeps her husband's legacy, the study. The space had once been filled with the memories of Robert, her late husband, who had been an astute businessman. For years, she'd quietly managed their finances under his guidance, learning the ins and outs of wealth management. But Robert had passed 3 years ago, and in that time, Eleanor had become accustomed to being overlooked, dismissed, and more than anything, underestimated. She walks over to his old desk, where stacks of papers, old notebooks, and ledgers are scattered. She carefully sorts through them until she finds what she's looking for, the hidden file labeled Investments. The contents of this file are not what Michael and Alexis know about her. They only knew about the life insurance, the pension, and the paid-off house. But beneath those simple assets was something far more valuable, a substantial investment portfolio meticulously built over 20 years. Stocks, real estate, and several lucrative business shares, including one in a local tech company called Nova Tech. Alexis had recently mentioned her involvement with Nova Tech, speaking about her role as a senior partner. Eleanor had heard snippets of conversations between Michael and Alexis, and now it all clicks. The company is struggling, and Alexis has been desperate to find ways to boost her standing. Eleanor smiles to herself. She's about to make a move that will change everything. Over the next few days, she begins to quietly shift the course of her life. Using her late husband's financial knowledge and her own sharp instincts, Eleanor purchases a sizable stake in Nova Tech, buying up shares from struggling investors at a bargain price. She doesn't reveal her identity as a new investor. Instead, she makes the purchase through a shell company, Meridian Holdings, which Alexis has never heard of and would never suspect. By the time she's done, Eleanor owns 40% of the company. The power shift begins, but this is just the beginning. She's no longer the passive, overlooked mother-in-law. The stage is set, and now Eleanor prepares for the most satisfying play of her life, to expose Alexis for the fraud she is, all while remaining silent, letting the truth reveal itself. Eleanor doesn't act hastily. She's methodical, calculated, as Alexis and Michael continue their blissful vacation in the Maldives. Eleanor stays focused. The house feels different now. A sense of quiet confidence fills the space. No longer does she feel like a woman at the mercy of her daughter-in-law's passive-aggressive comments and exclusion. In the evenings, Eleanor pours herself a glass of wine and sits at Robert's old desk, carefully reviewing the financial records of Nova Tech. With each page she turns, her sense of control grows. She's been through the accounts before, but this time, with the new power she's taken on, it's different. She's not just reviewing numbers for her own peace of mind. She's looking for cracks that Alexis has created, cracks that will soon become her downfall. It doesn't take long to find them. First, she spots discrepancies in the billing practices. Nova Tech, under Alexis's leadership, has been overcharging clients for services that were never rendered. There's a separate account, hidden from the company's main records, where excess funds have been funneled. Eleanor knows enough about financial forensics to understand that these aren't simple accounting errors. They are deliberate manipulations. Her fingers hover over the keyboard as she logs into the account. Alexis had thought her sophisticated schemes would go unnoticed, but Eleanor is smarter than she gave her credit for. She carefully documents each transaction, each fraudulent invoice, and each overcharge. By the end of the night, Eleanor has a paper trail that's impossible to ignore, proof that Alexis has been siphoning funds for months, stealing from the very clients who trusted her. But Eleanor doesn't stop there. She knows that Jessica's personal life could be just as useful as her business practices. As the night deepens, Eleanor shifts her attention to social media, something she's only just begun to explore. Under the guise of curiosity, Eleanor creates an anonymous account and begins to quietly follow Alexis's posts. What she finds is more than she ever expected. Photos of Alexis and a young marketing consultant named Jake, pictures of them dining in luxury restaurants, lounging at exclusive resorts, and posting cozy selfies together. The last straw is a photo tagged at a private hotel suite, a hotel Jake had posted about on his Instagram. Eleanor's suspicions about the affair are confirmed. She collects the screenshots, the receipts, the travel records. Every detail goes into a folder she will carry with her when the time comes. Alexis's relationship with Jake, her affair, her betrayal, could be the final piece to the puzzle. Eleanor now has everything she needs to bring Alexis's world crashing down, but she's not ready to act just yet. Instead, Eleanor sits back, savoring the quiet, knowing that her plan is set in motion. She's preparing not just for the business confrontation, but for a personal one too. As she closes the last file on her laptop, a smile tugs at her lips. This is the calm before the storm. The next step is clear, the audit. But Eleanor knows that timing is everything. She'll let Alexis have her brief moment of triumph, her last carefree days in the sun. Because when she strikes, it will be with the full weight of the truth, and nothing can stop it now. The day Alexis and Michael return from their vacation, Eleanor is ready. She spends the morning in her favorite chair, sipping her coffee and letting the first hint of spring warmth filter through the windows. There's a sense of calm in the air. She's spent years trying to fit into a role she never chose, and now she is finally playing the role she was always meant for. The strategist, the matriarch, the woman in control. As noon approaches, she receives the familiar, predictable text from Michael. "Hey, Mom, we're back. Can't wait to catch up with you and the kids. Alexis is feeling exhausted from all the sun and activities, so we probably won't make it over tonight, but maybe tomorrow." Eleanor smiles as she reads it. She's learned to see through the polite distance, the subtle dismissal. Maybe tomorrow. She knows what it really means. She knows how Alexis has maneuvered around her for years, and now it's her turn to shift the dynamic. That evening, when Alexis texts again, suggesting they meet at her house for dinner, Eleanor doesn't hesitate. "Of course, dear, I'll make dinner. Come around 7. She knows exactly what to expect. Alexis will try to downplay things, pretend nothing's changed, that everything is still in its place. But Eleanor is no longer the same woman who nodded and smiled when things didn't go her way. Tonight, the game changes. By 7:00 p.m., the doorbell rings. Alexis enters with her usual cool, flawless demeanor, a practiced sweetness that Eleanor has seen through for years. She sits at the table, exchanging small talk about the vacation, making sure to mention the kids' excitement about their new adventures and how amazing the trip was. The tone is light, but there's an undercurrent of tension in the air, a tension Alexis is completely unaware of. Dinner proceeds as expected. Alexis is charming, pretending to care about Eleanor's life, about her well-being. But as they finish the meal, Eleanor feels the time has come. "Actually, Alexis, there's something I need to show you," Eleanor says, her voice steady but filled with quiet authority. Alexis, surprised, smiles. "Oh, what is it, Mom?" Eleanor doesn't answer directly. She simply slides a thick folder across the table. Alexis's smile falters, her eyes narrowing as she glances at the papers inside. "What's this about?" Alexis asks, the first signs of tension creeping into her voice. "Take a look," Eleanor replies softly. "It's about your business, Alexis. I think you'll find it very interesting." Alexis flips through the documents. The first thing she sees is a printout of a bank statement from Novatech's accounts, showing discrepancies that she had tried to hide. Overcharged clients. Money funneled into an account under a different name. The second document is an email from a client complaining about receiving a bill for services they never received. Alexis's breath hitches. She quickly scans the rest of the documents. More emails, more receipts, more evidence that she's been embezzling funds, manipulating invoices, and lying to the people who trusted her. What is this?" Alexis stammers, her hands trembling slightly as she reaches for the next page. "It's the truth, Alexis," Eleanor says calmly, her gaze steady on her daughter-in-law. "The truth about what's been going on in your company and what you've been hiding from everyone. The truth about what you've been doing behind everyone's back." Alexis's face drains of color. The room feels smaller as she begins to panic. "This isn't possible. You don't understand. These are mistakes, accounting errors. I can fix this." "No," Eleanor says, her voice firm. "This isn't a mistake. These are intentional actions. You've been stealing from your clients. You've been manipulating the numbers for months, maybe even longer. And don't think I haven't noticed how you've been spending your business money. I've seen the receipts for your little vacation with Jake." The final blow lands with Eleanor's next words. "I know about the affair too, Alexis. The one you've been having with your consultant, Jake. It's all here in black and white." Alexis's face is a mix of shock, disbelief, and fear. She stammers, I don't know what you're talking about." Eleanor leans back in her chair, meeting her eyes with a quiet intensity. "You're not as clever as you think you are, and you certainly never thought I'd find out, but I have, every last detail." There's a long pause. Alexis sits frozen, her gaze darting around as if looking for an escape, but she knows it's too late. "I'm not here to lecture you, Alexis," Eleanor continues. "I'm here to make sure you face the consequences, and I've already taken steps to ensure you will." The words hang in the air, thick with the weight of everything that's about to change. "Eleanor, please," Alexis says, desperation creeping into her voice. "You don't understand. This is my life, my career. I've worked so hard. You can't do this to me." "I'm not doing this to you, Alexis," Eleanor replies, her voice sharp. "You did this to yourself, and now you'll deal with the fallout. I've already started the process. There's an audit scheduled for your company, and once they get a look at your financials, I'll make sure everyone knows what you've been doing. You won't just lose your job, Alexis. You'll lose everything." The quiet, calculating tone of Eleanor's words leaves Alexis visibly shaken. She stares at the folder, the evidence of her betrayal laid bare in front of her. "I've spent too many years letting people walk all over me," Eleanor says, her voice now cold and unwavering. "No more. You thought you could exclude me from your life, but now it's you who will be excluded from the company, from your family, and from your own reputation." Alexis's face crumples as the gravity of the situation sinks in. She knows it's over. There's no way out. She looks at Eleanor, defeated, realizing that her mother-in-law is no longer the docile, overlooked woman she once thought she could manipulate. Eleanor stands up, her expression unyielding. "You'll be hearing from my lawyer soon, but for now, I think it's best if you leave." The first strike has been delivered. The once predictable family dynamics have shifted. Eleanor has moved from being the overlooked and excluded to the strategic force who has taken back control of her own life. And now, the fate of her daughter-in-law. The next day, the fallout from the confrontation lingers in the air. Eleanor doesn't rush into the next phase of her plan. She lets the tension build. She allows Alexis to stew in the shame and confusion, knowing that soon enough, the full consequences will come crashing down. But Eleanor's patience isn't about waiting for someone else to act. It's about the art of timing. When she strikes again, it will be devastating. By midday, Michael calls, his voice shaky with confusion. "Mom, I don't understand. What's going on with Alexis? Why is there an audit at her company? What did you do?" Eleanor takes a deep breath, her voice steady. "I didn't do anything, Michael. Alexis did this. She's the one who's been dishonest, manipulating her clients and mismanaging the business. I just made sure the truth came out." "What truth? What are you talking about?" Michael presses, but Eleanor knows this is a moment for him to understand, not to rush. "I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this, but Alexis has been stealing from people who trusted her. It's a big mess, and I'm making sure it gets cleaned up properly." Michael is silent for a long moment. "You're telling me she's been embezzling money?" "Not just that," Eleanor says, her voice cold and deliberate. "She's been running a fraudulent business, overcharging clients, using the company's funds for personal expenses, and let's not forget the affair. She's been sleeping with her marketing consultant, Jake, and using company money to fund it." Michael's voice cracks. "What, are you serious?" "I'm afraid so, Michael. I know this is hard to hear, but it's the truth." Silence hangs between them, heavy and uncomfortable. Eleanor knows that Michael is processing everything, but she also knows that deep down he can't deny the evidence. It's all there, laid out in the documents she provided. Finally, Michael speaks, his voice softer now. "I don't know what to say, Mom. I had no idea it was this bad." "I know, sweetheart," Eleanor says, "but now you need to decide what kind of man you're going to be. Will you support her through this, or will you hold her accountable for what she's done?" "I don't know yet. I need time to think." Michael sighs, his frustration palpable. "I'll talk to her when she gets back." The conversation ends, and Eleanor feels the weight of the moment. She knows Michael is torn, but she also knows that the truth has a way of working its way to the surface. Alexis can't hide forever. Later that afternoon, as the sun begins to set, Alexis returns, her face pale and drawn. She enters the house like a woman walking to her execution, her eyes red from crying or perhaps from panic. Eleanor is sitting in her usual spot at the kitchen table, calmly sipping tea as if nothing has changed. but everything has. I need to talk to you, Alexis says, her voice strained. I didn't think you'd go this far, Eleanor. You've ruined everything. I'm going to lose everything, my career, my reputation, my marriage. Why would you do this? Eleanor looks at her, her gaze steady. I didn't ruin anything, Alexis. You did that all on your own. You thought you could lie, cheat, and deceive your way to the top, but you're not as clever as you think. I did it for us, for the family. Alexis cries, her voice breaking. I was just trying to make things better. I never meant for any of this to happen. No, Eleanor replies, her voice unwavering. You did it for yourself. You've been using the company, using Michael, using everyone to build your own little empire while stepping on anyone who got in your way, including me. I was just trying to make a life for myself, to be something. Alexis whispers almost to herself. Eleanor stands up slowly, her movements deliberate, purposeful. And in the process, you betrayed everyone who ever believed in you, your clients, your family. And now you're going to face the consequences of your actions. Alexis's breath quickens, her eyes darting around the room. She's on the verge of losing control, and she knows it. Please, Eleanor, don't do this. I can make it right. Just give me time. Eleanor's eyes narrow. You've had enough time, Alexis. It's over. The audit is already in motion. The authorities are involved. The truth will come out whether you like it or not. Alexis stumbles back, her voice filled with disbelief. You're going to destroy me. No, Eleanor replies quietly. You did that yourself, but I'm making sure it's all cleaned up. I'm protecting the people you've hurt, and I'm making sure you never do this again. The phone rings, interrupting the tension in the room. Eleanor picks it up, glancing at Alexis with a calm that only adds to the weight of the moment. It's David Chen, her lawyer. Mrs. Brennan, David says, his voice professional but sympathetic. We've confirmed the discrepancies in Nova Tech's records. The authorities have agreed to move forward with the investigation. And as requested, we've notified the investors about the mismanagement. Alexis's time in charge is officially over. Eleanor hangs up the phone, looking at Alexis, who stands frozen in shock. The truth is sinking in. There's no escape, no bargaining her way out of this. It's too late. I'm sorry, Alexis, Eleanor says, her voice almost gentle. But this is your doing. I'm just the one making sure justice is served. Alexis crumbles, the weight of her own actions finally crashing down on her. Please, Eleanor, please don't do this. But Eleanor stands tall, her eyes unwavering. You had your chance, Alexis. You had all the time in the world. Now it's time for you to face the consequences. The confrontation has come to its peak. Alexis is no longer in control, and the truth has exposed her lies for all to see. Eleanor, once the passive observer, is now the force driving the inevitable fallout. The balance of power has shifted completely. The aftermath of Eleanor's confrontation with Alexis lingers in the air, heavy and charged with the consequences of betrayal. Alexis, who had once held the reins of her carefully constructed life, now finds herself crumbling under the weight of her own lies. The grand facade of success that she had built over the years is cracking, and there's no one left to protect her. The day after the confrontation, Eleanor sits in her favorite chair, a quiet strength in her posture. The house is calm, but her mind is racing, tracking every move she's made, every decision that led her to this point. She hasn't allowed herself to feel the full weight of the victory yet. There's still work to be done, and the rest of her plan is unfolding. The phone rings, and it's Michael. His voice is strained, the confusion in his tone palpable. Mom, we need to talk. I've spoken to Alexis, and she's completely falling apart. She's asking me to side with her to help cover this up, but I don't know what to believe anymore. Eleanor sighs, the tension in her chest releasing just a little. You don't need to believe anything, Michael. You need to see the truth. Alexis made her choices, and now she's going to face the consequences. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm losing her, losing everything. His voice cracks, a mixture of anger and sorrow in his words. I'm not asking you to lose anything, Michael. Eleanor replies softly, her tone steady but firm. But you can't ignore what's been happening. Alexis has hurt a lot of people who trusted her. She made her bed and now it's time to lie in it. But she's my wife. Michael protests, the hurt obvious in his voice. I don't know how to just walk away from this. Eleanor pauses, letting her words land. I know it's hard, sweetheart, but you need to decide what kind of man you want to be. A man who protects his family or a man who stands by while someone he loves destroys everything around them. There's a long silence on the other end of the line. Michael's voice finally breaks through, quieter now. I need some time, Mom. I don't know if I can do this. You don't need to decide everything right now, Eleanor reassures him. Just remember this. When the dust settles, you'll know exactly what to do. Later that week, as the investigation into Nova Tech intensifies, Eleanor receives word from her lawyer, David. The authorities have begun their probe into the financial discrepancies, and the company's board has already voted to remove Alexis from her position. The weight of her actions is now inescapable. Eleanor feels a sense of calm relief. It's not about revenge, it's about justice. The people who had been defrauded will be repaid, and the company will survive. But what's most important is that Alexis's reign is over. Her manipulations and betrayals can no longer threaten those around her. The evening before the formal announcement, Alexis arrives at Eleanor's house again, but this time she's alone. She looks defeated, her once perfect hair disheveled, her posture hunched. She looks like a woman who has lost everything, and perhaps, in this moment, she realizes she has. Eleanor doesn't wait for Alexis to speak. He knows exactly why she's here. You've come to beg, Eleanor states plainly, her voice unwavering. But it's too late for that. Alexis stands at the door, her hands shaking. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was trying to do what was best. I'm so sorry. Eleanor looks at her, her eyes cold and resolute. Sorry doesn't fix what you've done, Alexis. It doesn't take back the harm you've caused to your clients, to your family. It doesn't erase the betrayal. I made mistakes. I know I did, Alexis says, her voice cracking. But I never thought it would come to this. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I see now that No, Eleanor interrupts, her tone sharp. You thought you could get away with it. You thought you could deceive everyone, even me. And now look where we are. Alexis's eyes fill with tears, but Eleanor doesn't soften. This isn't about sympathy, it's about accountability. I've already put things in motion, Alexis. There's nothing you can do now. You're not going to escape the consequences of your actions. You've lost your career, your marriage is on the line. And as for me, I've reclaimed my place in this family. You can't do this, Alexis pleads, her voice rising in desperation. I'll lose everything. You'll destroy my life. Eleanor stands up slowly, her expression steady. You've already done that, Alexis. Now it's time for you to face it. The truth has come out, and the world will know exactly who you are. No more lies, no more secrets. With that, Eleanor turns and walks to the kitchen, her back to Alexis. She's done. The war has been won. Justice will be served. A few days later, Michael arrives at Eleanor's house looking more settled, more at peace than he has in weeks. He's made a decision. I've spoken to Alexis, he says, his voice calm. I've tried to be there for her, but I can't turn a blind eye anymore. I can't keep enabling this. She's asked me to choose between her and the truth, and I've chosen the truth. Eleanor looks at her son, her heart swelling with pride. You've made the right choice, Michael. It won't be easy, but you'll never regret doing what's right. The fallout is complete. Alexis's empire has crumbled, and the truth has come to light. Michael has made his choice, stepping away from the lies that once defined his marriage. Eleanor stands tall, having reclaimed control over her life, her family, and her legacy. The quiet matriarch who was once pushed aside has emerged as the unwavering force that will ensure justice prevails. The ripples of her actions will be felt for years to come. Days pass, and the storm that has swept through Eleanor's life begins to settle. The weight of everything exposing Alexis, watching her world unravel and seeing her family begin to change, settles into Eleanor's bones. She has played her part, stood her ground, and now the final act begins. It's a crisp morning when Eleanor receives the final confirmation. The financial audit is complete, and the authorities have gathered enough evidence to press charges. Alexis's embezzlement has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. The company's investors, once afraid to speak up, have been made whole, their funds returned with interest. Nova Tech is moving forward without her, the company she once tried to manipulate now a symbol of resilience in the face of betrayal. The first strike was hard, and now comes the second, a swift blow to Alexis's pride, her career, and her future. As Eleanor walks into the living room where she's been sitting in quiet reflection, her phone buzzes with a message from her lawyer, David. "Margaret, it's time. The authorities are ready. They'll be serving Alexis tomorrow morning. The press is already circling. I suggest we handle this delicately from here on out." Eleanor's lips curl into a tight smile. Delicately isn't how she's played this game, and she has no intention of changing her approach now. She may have won, but she's not done yet. Justice isn't just about exposure, it's about making sure the pieces fall in the right way. And the last piece of this puzzle, public accountability. The next day, Alexis wakes up to the reality she's been dreading. She doesn't know it yet, but when she checks her phone, she'll see the first wave of headlines. As she sips her coffee, barely able to stomach the impending collapse of her life, a knock sounds at the door. It's David, her attorney, who looks like he's been dealing with a lot more than he expected. Behind him, 2 uniformed officers stand. They don't look like they've come for a friendly chat. "Alexis," David says, his tone grim, "I don't know how to sugarcoat this. The authorities have completed their investigation and we're moving forward. They're here to place you under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and several counts of financial misconduct." Alexis's world tilts. Her knees weaken and she grasps the doorframe to steady herself. "What? No, this isn't real. This can't be happening." The officers step inside, their presence formal and imposing. As they approach her, she looks around helplessly, her eyes searching for an escape. But there is none, not anymore. "Alexis," one of the officers says calmly, "we have a warrant for your arrest. Please come with us." Alexis looks to David, her attorney, her only remaining ally, but he can't save her now. He can't undo what's been done. He simply nods solemnly. "I'm sorry, Alexis. I tried to warn you, but this is the way it's going to be." The officers lead her out of the house, her face pale, her steps hesitant. The reality is crashing down, and Alexis knows that nothing will ever be the same again. Later that day, as news outlets begin to report the arrest, the headlines are full of damning details. CEO arrested for fraud. Former Nova Tech executive accused of stealing over $200,000. Family scandal. Daughter-in-law of local matriarch facing serious charges. Eleanor watches the news unfold with a quiet satisfaction. She never sought public attention. She never wanted the world to know her personal business. But sometimes, justice must be public to be truly effective. She's already made the first waves of the ripple effect. Now it's the rest of the world's turn to see the truth. Her son, Michael, calls again later that evening. He sounds drained, like a man who's had the life he knew ripped from him and is only now beginning to pick up the pieces. "Mom, I don't know how to say this. I'm so sorry I didn't see it earlier. I didn't want to believe it, but seeing the arrest, seeing everything, it's too much." Eleanor's voice is soft, steady. "Michael, you didn't want to see it. I understand that. But now you see. It's all out in the open. You have to decide what comes next. What kind of life do you want to lead? I'm going to make sure the kids are okay. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Alexis, but I can't let this hurt the kids more than it already has." Eleanor nods to herself, even though Michael can't see her. "That's all you can do now, Michael. Protect your kids. Be the father they need you to be. As for the rest of it, that's not your burden anymore. By the end of the week, Alexis's arrest is just the beginning of a public unraveling. She's fired from Nova Tech, and her name is publicly removed from every board she once sat on. Her personal brand, which she built on false pretenses, is in tatters. The affair with Jake is exposed, and though she tries to blame her actions on external pressure, the evidence speaks louder than her excuses. She moves out of the city, trying to escape the shame, but it's clear. The life she once knew is over. Meanwhile, Eleanor is free of the weight of betrayal. She's reclaimed her space in the family, not just as a mother-in-law, but as a woman of power and influence. Michael and the kids visit every weekend, and her home, once filled with tension and grief, now feels alive with laughter and connection. Eleanor stands in her garden one afternoon, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The satisfaction of justice fills her, but it's tempered with the realization that the real victory lies in the future she's built, not just for herself, but for her family. She knows that justice, when done right, has a ripple effect. It doesn't just right the wrongs of the past, it shapes the future. And this one was hers to shape. The justice strike has been delivered. Alexis is held accountable for her actions, and the truth has finally been brought to light. Eleanor has not only reclaimed her family's legacy, but also ensured that the consequences of betrayal are real and irreversible. Her quiet resilience has led to an unshakable victory, and the family, fractured by deceit, now has the chance to rebuild on solid ground. Months have passed since Alexis's downfall, and life has begun to settle back into a rhythm. The storm has passed, but its aftershocks continue to reverberate through Eleanor's life, reshaping everything in its wake. The peace that follows feels hard-earned, and for the first time in years, Eleanor feels in control, not just of the world around her, but of herself. A Sunday afternoon finds Eleanor sitting in her favorite chair, looking out at the garden. The sun is setting, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and pink. It's a quiet, peaceful moment, one that she's come to cherish after years of feeling like a passive participant in her own life. Now, as she watches her grandchildren play on the lawn, the laughter echoing through the air, she knows she's finally where she belongs. Her son Michael arrives, his steps heavier than usual. He looks worn, but there's something different in his expression. The hurt from the past is still there, but it's tempered by a growing sense of clarity. His shoulders, once slumped under the weight of uncertainty, are straighter now. "Hey, Mom," he greets, sitting beside her on the porch swing. "Hey, sweetheart," Eleanor responds, her eyes softening as she takes him in. "How's everything going?" Michael sighs, running a hand through his hair. "It's been hard. The kids are doing better now. They're adjusting. But I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about making choices, about who I want to be." Eleanor waits, letting him process his thoughts. She knows the road to recovery, both for him and for their family, is long, but it's one they're walking together now. "I never saw it before," he continues, his voice heavy with emotion. "I never saw how much Alexis was manipulating me, how much she was willing to sacrifice for her own ambitions. I thought I was protecting her, but I wasn't protecting anyone, especially not myself." Eleanor places a hand on his arm, offering a quiet strength that only a mother can provide. "It's not easy, Michael. Sometimes it takes seeing things for what they really are to understand where we went wrong. But the fact that you're seeing it now, that's the first step." Michael nods, a mix of relief and sorrow in his eyes. "I'm not going back. I can't. I've made peace with what happened. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her. I don't know if I can ever look at her the same way." Eleanor squeezes his hand. "Forgiveness isn't something you do for them, Michael. It's something you do for yourself. When you're ready, you'll find peace. But don't rush it. Take your time. The important thing is that you're here, with your family, and you're doing what's best for them." The sound of the grandchildren's laughter fills the air again, a reminder that life is continuing on. despite the pain and the scars left behind. Michael's gaze drifts to them, and for the first time in months he smiles, a true, unburdened smile. "I'm glad the kids have you, Mom," he says quietly, his voice thick with emotion. "They need you, I need you, and I can't thank you enough for everything you've done, for all of us." Eleanor watches the kids run across the lawn, a sense of peace settling over her. "You've done the hard part, Michael. You've chosen the path that will heal you, and that's all anyone can do. The rest will follow." A week later, Eleanor stands before the mirror, adjusting her dress, preparing for the dinner with the new board members of Nova Tech. Her place in the business world is no longer just as a silent investor. It's as a respected leader, a woman whose decisions and vision have reshaped the company for the better. She runs her fingers over the edges of the papers on her desk, documents confirming the complete restitution to the clients Alexis had defrauded. There's a sense of finality in it, a sense that justice has not only been done, but that it's been done thoroughly. The knock on the door pulls her from her thoughts, and she opens it to see Michael and the kids standing there, ready for dinner. He's finally moved past the anger and confusion, his bond with his children stronger than ever. They're a family again, not just in name, but in the truest sense of the word. The dinner is a simple, quiet affair, but there's a sense of hope in the air that wasn't there before. The children are laughing at the table, and Michael looks at Eleanor, his eyes filled with gratitude. The phone buzzes on the counter. It's a text from David. "Margaret, just wanted to let you know that Alexis has reached out from Denver. She's attempting to salvage what she can of her career, but as we discussed, her prospects are bleak. There's no going back for her now." Eleanor reads the message, a deep sigh escaping her lips. Alexis is no longer her problem. She's the product of her own choices, and Eleanor has done what she needed to do. But as she sets the phone down, she can't help but feel a small flicker of sadness for the woman Alexis could have been had she made different choices. She looks at Michael and the kids, her heart full. "Everything will be all right," she says softly, almost to herself. "We'll be all right." As the evening progresses, Eleanor finally feels a sense of peace she hasn't known in years. The storm has passed, and now the rebuilding begins. Not just of her family, but of her own life, her own future, one that no longer involves hiding in the shadows of others' expectations. She is the matriarch now, not just by title, but by her strength and resolve. The family's laughter echoes around her, and Eleanor knows one thing for certain: this is just the beginning. In this final act, Eleanor embraces the peace that follows the storm. The family has been mended, her role has been solidified, and the legacy she's built is one of strength, justice, and resilience. The journey from exclusion to empowerment has not been easy, but it's led her to a place where she stands firmly in control of her own life, her own future, and the future of those she loves. The emotional justice has been delivered, and it has changed everything.